Hey guys, what's going on? It's Ash here coming at you today in Raid Shadow Legends. Today we're going to skip the small talk and get right into 10 essential artifact tips that every Raid player should know. These are just things that I picked up along the way. Some of them, a few of them we talked about before here on the channel. Some of them we haven't, so I figured we kind of stick it all together in one quick video. Hopefully I will not ramble or take any kind of pivots in conversation in today's video, although I will ask you guys how you're enjoying the Forge so far, as it is at the time of this recording a pretty new feature inside the game. I like it personally, but I'm interested to see what you guys think. So tip number one is the value of, I want to talk about a couple of my favorite artifact sets that are not the basic artifacts. These are two sets that every player in this game should be aware of. I should probably be on this side of the screen in today's video. My bad. And the first one is Shield. Man, I've talked about the Shield set a lot here on the channel. It's a 30% HP ally shield for 3 turns. Shield set is probably, in my opinion, it's definitely a top 3 non-basic set in the game, probably top 3 set in the game, period. Who is perfect for a shield set, a shield artifact set? Champions who naturally have high base HP. Excuse me, I'm on one right now in Siphi the Lost Bride. 21,000 HP is great. Usually around, I don't know, 18, 19,000 and higher is considered a good, strong base hit point on a champion, and that means it scales really well. So when you put on an HP percentage artifact on that champion or substat on that champion, it's going to be even more HP gained because of their high base HP, right? So you want a champion that either has a lot of hit points, does damage based on hit points, or has a heal based on this champion's max HP. Put them in a shield set. Perfect candidates. Again, a champion like Miscreated Monster, who does damage based on HP, or a champion like Painkeeper, who does a heal based on her HP, are just 2 examples. You put them in a shield set, and it adds just immeasurable value to their overall utility to your team, right? Because you're going to get a 30% HP ally shield for 3 turns, and you get that every turn of the battle, of every turn of the dungeon, for example. So round 1, you're going to get a 3-turn shield every, level, every stage of that dungeon based on 30% of that champion's HP. And if you put it on a champion with a ton of HP, heck, you could be getting a shield that is basically the entire HP of other squishier champions on your team for free every round for 3 turns. A huge difference maker in progression in this game. Consider putting one of your champions at least in a shield set. I promise it will change your account in terms of progression. Tip number 2 is the value of the stun set. The stun set, again, up there in my favorite artifact sets in this game. Who is perfect for a stun set? First of all, it's giving an 18% chance to place a stun debuff. Stun debuff is the best CC debuff in the game, right up there with Provoke. Probably better. It's just the best. Stun is amazing in this game, right? And again, it will make a dramatic impact on your account. Progression, especially Faction Wars, the most difficult areas of the game, soon to be Doom Tower as well. Having a champion with multiple AoE attacks or multiple double hitting or triple hitting AoE attacks. In other words, this champion will attack all enemies 3 times. That's going to give you 3 chances at a stun off the stun set. And the stun set does not land based on accuracy, so you don't have to worry and concern yourself with building a ton of accuracy on the champion that you have a stun set on. So again, we're looking for AoE attacks. A champion like Bellower, like Biggin, champions with all AoEs, even better, because every single one of their abilities is going to have a chance to do an AoE, area of effect, stun on the enemy champions, okay? And then to get this 18% chance, a great idea for your stun set champion is putting them in the Fearsome Presence Mastery, okay? So this does require you getting a tier 6 mastery, so of course it does take some time, but Fearsome Presence, it's at the very bottom. Tier 6 mastery under the defensive tree has a 5% extra chance of placing a stun from artifacts or abilities. So that will take it from 18% to 23% chance on your stun set. A very useful combination is Fearsome Presence Mastery with an AoE champion in a stun gear set. Great artifacts to consider to have at least one again on your team. Tip number 3 is all about artifact prioritization when it comes to leveling, okay? So I always advise people, first of all, rank up your champion as quickly, or excuse me, ascend your champion as quickly as possible, because it's so valuable to unlock your amulet and your banner. It just adds so much value to your champion overall. So definitely try to ascend your champions, especially ones you're going to be relying on in multiple areas of the game. Champions that are going to provide a lot of versatility and utility to you all over the game. And then after that, when it comes to prioritizing what artifact to upgrade first, should I take one artifact all the way to level 16 and then focus on the next artifact? Well, I would advise trying to get all your artifacts to level 12 first, and then after you get them to level 12, I would focus on this middle row here. So your gauntlets, your chest, and your boots. Those are widely considered to be the most valuable artifacts, and artifacts you should place a little bit of a higher value on. If you pull a chest piece that's an attack percentage, I would be more likely to keep that if I was kind of on the fence with it than I would say a helmet, okay? So again, prioritize the middle row. I would take the middle row of artifacts to level 16 after you get everything to level 12, and then you can work on the other artifacts. Again, the middle row, because you're getting percentage, and you can choose your defense percentage, your crit damage, and your speed, for example. These stats are incredibly valuable, and they scale really well because they're not flat stats. Well, speed is, but defense percentage and crit damage are percentage based, so you're just getting more value out of them overall. That would be my next tip for you guys. Focus on the middle row. Tip number 4 is one we talked about here on the channel. Actually, recently, this changed my account by just going in champion by champion and slowly transitioning the champions that I'm really not relying on to be my main dungeon nuker, my main arena nuker, but, you know, as kind of a mid to end game strategy. We'll talk about a couple of these strategies in today's video. What you really want to do is look at Grohawk the Bloodied here. He's an attack-based champion. All of his skills are based and scale off attack. His damage is based on attack stat. However, what you really want to do with these champions, especially champions, again, that you're not relying on in the arena as your main nuker to do a ton of damage every hit, it's very valuable to keep these champions alive. So just because it's an attack-based champion does not mean you have to have a ton of attack on that champion. Defense, HP, stats that make your champion stay alive so they can get more damage, so they can last till the end of the battle are very important. I can't stress this enough, guys. Whether you're in the beginning of this game, the middle of this game, or the end of this game, doesn't matter, applies to everybody equally. Consider using defense percentage chest. Consider going with defense or HP on your amulets, your artifacts. What the hell are these? Your accessories. There we go. I knew it was an A. Not your amulet, not your artifacts, but your accessories, right? So consider going with these strong, and again, attack on my ring, but 3 rolls on defense percentage on the substat there. So again, accessories, consider defense and HP. Your chest, consider defense or HP as well, because again, what good is an attacker, a nuker on your team if they don't stay alive, especially in the more challenging areas in this game, Faction Wars and soon to be Doom Tower. Alright guys, so for the next 2 tips, let's talk about artifacts that aren't good. Artifacts that I'm absolutely selling no matter what if I pull them. And there's really 2 that I want to highlight first. These are percentage-based artifacts too, or I should say one's flat, one's percentage. Percentage is going to be attack percentage on the gloves. On the gauntlets, you're best off building your champion to 100% crit rate. Oftentimes you need crit rate gauntlets to do that. If you're able to get crit rate from other pieces of artifact, in terms of damage output on your champions, you're always better going with crit damage. It scales better, especially as you start getting to the point where you can build your champions with a lot of attack, a lot of crit rate, and a lot of crit damage as you progress in this game. So again, try to, or just sell, I should say, sell your attack percentage on your gauntlets. I don't even have any on my account to show you guys, but you guys know what attack percentage is, and keep the crit rate and the crit damage. If you can get the crit rate to 100% using substats and other artifacts, go for it. If you can't, we'll go crit rate. If you can, go crit damage on your gauntlets. Don't go attack percentages. A mistake that I see a lot of new players making on their Kayle, their Galex, their Aethels, and their Elaines, right, in the beginning of the game. The other one that I want to talk about is actually on your accessories. Not your artifacts, not your amulets, but your accessories. This one actually is on amulets, and it is attack stat on your amulets, okay? So let me just see if I have any of those on my account right now. I'm sure I have a couple. I do. So this one, I made a mistake, right? I upgraded to level 16 on my own. Shouldn't have done that. Really, again, you're better off with crit damage. So attack, I don't need it. Here's take a look. Attack, I don't need that on my amulet. On your amulets, you're looking at HP, you're looking at defense, or you're looking at crit damage, because crit damage, again, scales better than attack, so there's really never a situation that I would be looking for attack on my amulet over crit damage. So again, on amulets, the most valuable for attackers is going to be crit damage. If you don't care about attack or damage output, you're better off going defense or HP. I just trash, aka sell, my attack percentage gauntlets and my attack flat stats on my amulets. So the next garbage thing we could talk about is probably the most obvious of all the tips in this video, but it wouldn't be a very comprehensive video if we didn't discuss it, and that is flat stats. Flat stats are not as good as attack percentage, in this game, period. I don't really see any reason, other than the very beginning of the game, when you're just getting your first artifacts, to upgrade flat stats, and even then, I would not do it past level 12. I'd probably just cap it at level 8 in the very beginning of this game. And what is a flat stat? It's a, let's see if I have any on the old account here. But you want percentage, HP percentage, not HP plus whatever, right? Same thing goes with all of these kind of rows. The only exception is, and there's two exceptions, and we'll talk about some of them on the next tip on the chest, but for the boots, the exception would be speed. Speed flat stat is really, really good on your boots, so that would be the exception. We're talking mainly about attack, defense, and HP flat stats. Never really want to keep those on your middle row. Of course, you only have those stats, HP, defense, and attack on your rings, and of course you only have attack on your weapon, HP on your helmet, and defense on your shield. That's always going to be the same, okay? But the rest of the stuff, for chests especially, sell the flat stat, HP, defense, and attack. Let's see if I have anybody that I can sell right now. So HP, attack, and defense. I have a couple new ones here, straight in the bin on the flat stat attack 35 and flat stat defense 16. Those will be sold immediately. No value to me. Tip number 7, guys, is what we just kind of alluded to. It's the chest, kind of, I guess, specialty artifacts. In what situations would you want an accuracy chest? In what situations would you want a resistance chest in this game? And I have to touch on, before we get to that, immunity. So immunity, I see it as kind of a specialized set in this game for the arena. And that's what we're going to be talking about today in this tip, right? Today, like it's the whole video. Today in this tip, right, is immunity is great for the arena. Elsewhere in the game, you're kind of getting diminished returns, but for the arena, it's amazing. For 2 turns, you're not going to have to worry about those Torment freezes. You're not going to have to worry about those Hegemons who always go first and basically negate all the skills of your team. That will all be blocked with an immunity set, so I did want to kind of point out that immunity, to me, is a really specialized set in this game for the arena, so you want to keep your immunity pieces from Fire Knight's Castle when you're able to farm them. Also, as we talked about, for the arena, accuracy chests and resistance chests are valuable. I'll go to one of my arena champions to give you guys an example, and it's actually Madame Ceres, who got a very, very small laughable nerf, but I'm going to put my debuffer for the arena, my decreased defense champion for the arena, or a champion that I'm looking for anything that depends on accuracy in the arena. Usually it's decreased defense, your weakens, or it might be your stuns, depending on your strategy. But those champions, you can never have too much accuracy for the arena, okay? On my Madame Ceres, I have, over 500 accuracy on this champion because, again, we want as much accuracy as possible, and turn meter depletion also depends on accuracy. So, decrease turn meter by 20% on all enemies, that would require accuracy on your champion. As we talked about, though, stun sets, artifact sets, freeze sets do not depend on your opponent, or on your character, your champion's accuracy. So, accuracy chest, to me, only really being used in the arena, okay? So accuracy chest, resistance chest, same thing. Resistance chest, I'm sure I have one on one of these champions somewhere, maybe even on Siphi. Let me see. Because I use her on a resistance team in the arena, and we see it right there. So 96 resistance is incredibly valuable, but again, it's very niche, very nuanced. Mostly accuracy. Accuracy can apply to any speed farming team in the arena. Mostly resistance is going to be reserved for the mid game, kind of to the end game, for a higher resist strategy or high defense strategy inside the arena. But either way, immunity sets, Accuracy chests and resistance chests are worth keeping for arena teams. In my opinion, that's really the best utility for those 3 artifacts. Not that there's other niche scenarios you might use them, but those are the big 3, special arena gear that I kind of take a look out for. All right, guys, so tips number 8 and 9 are for end game, right? So these are things that you should be thinking about to transition, kind of start thinking about these goals in the mid game as you approach the mid game, and then work one champion at a time to get ready for the end game where things will get really difficult in Raid Shadow Legends. And the first thing involves gauntlets, right? So you should work to try to get all your damage dealers, or I should say, your main damage dealers, especially for the arena, for areas like clan boss, just basically anywhere in the game, dungeons, to try to fully optimize your damage and get a lot more out of your damage dealing champions, even if they're defense or HP based. What you want to do is try to get that 100% crit rate if you can. Again, as I mentioned earlier, not using crit rate gauntlets. So in the beginning, you're probably going to be using crit rate on gauntlets on almost all of your damage dealing champions, any champion that you want to get a lot of damage from, right? But after that, you should be starting to think about, okay, I want to find a lot of gear, and Alton must have a lot, right? Crit rate 19%, crit rate 15%, crit rate nowhere on that one, crit rate 12%, and crit rate 19%. So I'm able to get enough crit rate on the rest of the substats of his gear to be able to transition away from crit rate gauntlets into crit damage gauntlets. Crit damage 80% on a 6-star artifact is tremendous in terms of the extra damage output that you're able to get from that champion. You're getting 120% extra crit damage. That's tremendous from the amulet plus the crit rate gauntlets, okay? And then add in the Great Hall on top of that. You're talking a lot of extra damage just off of swapping out some gear. So you should always remember the value, even if you're the mid game, of substat crit rate on other artifacts, or even including the gauntlets. Crit damage can have crit rate as a substat as well. It's not the case here, but either way, you should be keeping an eye out for crit rate because you're going to want to transition, again, your damage dealers from crit rate to crit damage as you approach the end game. The tip number 9, guys, is transitioning your banner. So transitioning your banner is another one, just like the gauntlets, right? So let's take a look at Miscreated Monster. What am I talking about transitioning your banner? Banners, accuracy banners are going to be on almost all your debuffers, especially in the early into the mid game of Raid Shadow Legends, right? But look at a champion like Miscreated Monster again. He has damage based off of HP. HP helps him stay alive because it's more hit points, and he has a shield based on the amount of damage that he puts out, which is based on HP, because he does damage based on HP, right? So there's a lot to be gained from this champion by adding more HP on him. Same thing goes with your shield artifact champions we talked about earlier. So putting a champion like Miscreated Monster in an HP banner is very valuable. So I transitioned my Miscreated Monster away from accuracy banner, and I was able to get enough accuracy on substats again. And I put him in an accuracy set as well to help out, an extra 40 accuracy. So 244 accuracy is fine. Once you get around 250 accuracy for any dungeon, excluding arena, for basically anywhere in the game, you're going to be looking pretty good in terms of accuracy, okay? So sure, we could scale that a little bit more with glyphs. I think that I don't have them all the way glyphed up, but I think what I want to try to do on a champion like this is he needs accuracy still because I want him to land his stun on his A2, a very valuable AoE stun, and I want him to land the stun and the decreased defense on his A1, but I want to get that accuracy from other things, right? Artifact sets, accuracy set here on his gauntlets, accuracy set here on his chest, and I also want to get it just in the substats whenever I can find it. So I must have, yes, accuracy here on his shield. I have accuracy on, actually I don't have a ton of accuracy. It must just be the double roll on the gauntlets plus the artifact set. So, long story short here, guys, transition, it doesn't have to be HP, right? It could be an attack-based champion, right? If you have, let's say, a Ward Maiden, if you're able to get her accuracy to above 200 without having to put that accuracy banner on her, put an attack banner on her instead, transition her from being just a debuffer to a debuff/nuker by stacking a lot of attack on her, thanks to swapping out that banner if you can get the accuracy from other artifacts. Again, something you should be thinking about as you transition to the end game in Raid. And lastly, we'll end with another obvious one, guys. Tip number 10 is speed boots. Speed, you can't get it as a main stat on any artifact except for your boots. It makes sense. They're on your feet, right? So speed boots are very valuable in this game, and I see a lot of people, again, kind of an early beginner mistake in this game. A lot of people putting all their champions and all their attack-based champions in attack percentage boots, all their defense-based champions on defense percentage boots. There's a time and a place for that, but usually it involves more niche strategies, such as if your attacker's going last and you have a CC champion on your team in the arena, sure, there's a time and a place to consider doing a strategy like that, where you put attack percentage or a defense percentage on your boots. But again, that's very few and far between. Generally speaking, what good is a champion with an extra 1,000 attack on their stats, or an extra 500 attack on their stats, if it takes them almost double or 50% longer to take a turn, right? Speed is very, very valuable in this game. I cannot impress this enough on you guys, right? Especially new players to the game. Speed is going to dictate how fast your turn meter fills on your champions, and your turn meter is going to dictate how often they can attack, they can debuff, they can heal. So you want your champions going fast oftentimes, because a very fast team is a team that the enemies don't have a chance to go, right? So oftentimes a fast champion, a fast team overall will lend itself to more survivability that you can get off having HP boot percentage boots on all your champions. Speed boots are going to be something very, very important to consider for pretty much all of your champions in pretty much every area in the game. Guys, that is going to do it. That is 10 essential artifact tips, I think is what I'm going to title this video, that every Raid Shadow Legends player should know. Guys, do you have any additional tips that I forgot here that you would recommend? Let me know in the comments below, guys. I appreciate you guys watching, subscribing to the channel if you enjoyed the content. Thank you. I will see you tomorrow, and as always, take care, guys.